Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here with another mental health survivor. I just want to start today with a quote. It's by Ruby Wax, and she's a comedian who talks about her mental health. She's used platforms such as TED Talks to talk about the stigma of mental health and so on. So I wanted to read a quote from her. She says, "It's so common, it could be anyone. The trouble is, no one wants to talk about it, and that makes everything worse." So I really like that because it ties into our mental health survivor today, Veronica, who experienced some trauma, pretty much an abuse all throughout her life. But we see in talking to her that pattern of abuse started from a very young age with her parents, who didn't necessarily mean to impose the emotional abuse that they did. It was somewhat cultural, but that set up kind of the platform and this mindset that conditioned Veronica that maybe she wasn't good enough, or maybe she didn't deserve a certain type of love or a certain type of relationship and connection. And that happens a lot, and that goes back to the attachments we have with our caregivers, right? If you don't have a secure attachment with your caregiver that's safe, and that you know that your parent or one that is raising you is someone you can depend on always and trust, then that's going to skew the way that you approach relationships in the future, always believing that they might not be consistent and maybe you don't deserve the best. So many thanks to Veronica for interviewing with us, and here it goes.
Being self-aware, being self-healthy, being able to go through a day and be able to check yourself on everything, being able to live a peaceful, kind, knowing life. Ups, downs, but you're able to get through it.
Where does your story begin?
My story began when I was abused by my boyfriend. I grew up Mormon. I consider myself still a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint. I'm not the cookie cutter LDS person. I am what they would call a Jack Mormon. Okay. When I started dating, I kept my chastity well into my 20s. Like, stayed a virgin and everything. My first boyfriend was very physically, emotionally, and mentally sexually abusive. We started dating and everything. Everything seemed great and everything. But then he started getting into my head. And because he knew he had already gained that trust with me, he started just completely, hey, what's going on with this? Oh, you're looking a little fat right now. And so controlling that way. And then from there, he started grabbing my arm if I didn't do something right. I started wearing turtlenecks during the summer. And it was like, if I didn't do something he wanted, he'd hit me. So that being said, it was a little bit hard.
Were you able to talk to anyone about it at the time, or you felt isolated because you
No, he led me to believe, and I wouldn't put it past him because I knew some of the type of people he ran out with. Crime families. And so he's like, you tell anybody about this, I will hurt you, but more so I will hurt the ones you're closest to. And finally got out of that relationship. When that relationship ended, I turned around and told both of my parents. We were in the living room, and I told my parents, and this is what solidates my closeness to my father more than my mother. My dad's knuckles became white. He was going to kill him. My mother goes, "What did you do to provoke him?" So like, what did you do? And so that made me go into a spiral. And it was just not okay. And when my mother told me that, my self-esteem went down because she made me believe, because she's my mother, I'm supposed to trust her. What she says is supposed to be what's certain. So that made me think that I was the problem, not him.
Right.
So my mental health went. Childhood stuff, it's more of the pressure, that the pressure continued to where it turned into a little bit of abuse, to where as much as I love my mother, but she doesn't relate to me as an adult now, and I'm in my 40s. And there's not that respect. If I decided I wanted to do something or think something, I can relate to one moment. My mother dragged me across the kitchen floor by my hair. I was wearing my cowboy boots. She didn't like it. And she like just straight up grabbed me, and I'm like going, really? Like, I'm holding on to my hair. And I know she means well, but the way that she does it is she doesn't know that separation as a parent to let me grow and become my own person. Instead, she wants to control it to where it can turn into abuse. I was actually raped up in Montana, a place that I was supposed to be safe. Like, I knew my friends. I was DDing for some friends. And when I was there, I was going to school up there and everything. And I remember this guy named Chuck. He was a classmate. He had me meet another classmate. They were friends. I think it was right around St. Patrick's Day, if I remember correctly. And Chuck and his buddy, they were like, "Hey, why don't you come out with us?" And I'm like, okay. I grew up a tomboy. And when we got up there and everything, we went up to the next town over, which is where everybody went to go out, ski town. And when I was up there and everything, didn't drink. I was having maybe one beer at the beginning of the night and then nothing else. Like drinking pop the rest of the night. Because I was a DD. I'm like, okay, I'm good. They're all like, "Hey, you didn't really drink all night. You want a drink?" I'm like, "You know what? Yeah, I'll have one drink." He goes, "What would you like?" I'm like, "Vodka soda." And he made me a light one, and I'm like, "Okay, thanks." And I took a sip and then set it down. I'm like, "Where's your lavatory?" Went to the lavatory really quick and everything. When I came back, I drank the rest of my drink. He had maybe poured a shot, like a little bit less than a shot in there. I saw him pour it. When I drank the rest of the drink, I started getting dizzy, like not okay. like Chuck had like been getting his stuff ready, so I don't think Chuck had anything to do with this. But the buddy had drugged me. And he's like, yeah, you can lay down in the spare room right over there. I went in there and everything was very blurry after that. When I came to in the morning, my clothing was disheveled. I didn't know what had happened. I was sore. I put myself together, got in my car, and here's the scary thing. I was more preoccupied with what my mother was going to say when I got home at 6 something in the morning than what had happened to me. I walked in the door and she goes, mira como puta, or pocha andas en todas las horas. Basically like a piece of trash. You come in at this time of morning. I still to this day can't, because my brain works like a camera and it just takes certain scenes and I have to play out the whole movie in my head and then I can put it to bed. I kind of know what happened, but I still can't put together all the pieces in what happened that night. I didn't believe that that would happen to me. I went to my room, I went to the bathroom, I took a shower because I didn't want to smell like bar or anything. And I took the abuse that my mother gave me. Took me moving to Utah because I had started getting angry and angry and angry because there was something inside of me that I didn't know how to manifest. And I almost went after my sister with my golf club because she was irritating me. I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror in the hallway. I dropped the golf club, tried to go to the bathroom, and killed myself. Couldn't find anything to do myself in with. Realized I needed to get away from my family because if not, someone would get hurt. I finally moved down to Utah. It was then that I, in group therapy, because the way that I had grown up and everything, I was very sheltered. And by the time that I started dating, I was still like in a kind of a young adult, but kind of a child, sheltered. So they put me in a group therapy with child abuse survivors.
Okay.
To this day, I still deal with it, but I've gotten past a lot of the anger. It's just more growing from it. When I was dating Michael, the only thing I had to run to was hiding myself behind my camera. My art became everything to me. Like it's where I could hide. And so I hid there. It was my home, my safe space. I actually had that conversation with them not too long ago. I go, what I needed from you guys is not thrown money at my problems, is, are you okay? What can I do to help? You're going to be okay. That's what I needed to hear. Like, instead of telling me, what did you do to provoke him? I might not have had the rape happen because I got conditioned to the abuse to where I had this neon sign of victim on my forehead. And instead of breaking those toxic chains, like I learned in therapy, so that the cleansing water flows through, clean mind, clean everything, I ended up running right into those chains every single time. She went from making sure that I felt safe to being the predator, emotional predator herself, to where even to this day, they look at me and they're like, oh, you used to be so pretty when you were skinny. And I'm like, thanks. Thanks a lot. Because they saw, like, they don't realize I went through major binge eating after it. Like, I went from two extremes. Like, I started looking like a hussy, dressing like a hussy, stuff like that, because I just didn't care. To turning around and I'm just going to eat myself to death. And I'm at a point to where I'm considered morbidly obese. And so they look at me and they're like, well, you used to be pretty. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you a lot. You know what? They picked me to be the World Miss Tourism representative for California. I'm like, I got that myself. I didn't have to get their permission to do it. I went and did that myself. I'm going to nationals. This is a beauty pageant, but also has meaning because it actually shows the environment, shows places and everything. And it gives me a voice. Lets me help others, gives me platforms to work on. It gives me a sense of self again. You're not alone. Regardless of what you think, you are not the only one that's been through it. And no one can take away who you are. They can try, but they can't take it away. And once you find a supportive group of people, you can make it through. Because once again, you cannot get through it by yourself, but with the right person, they can help guide you into a safer spot. Never stop trying to find that person that can help pull you out of that mucky water. Because it may take days, it may take weeks, but you know what? Don't give up hope, because there's always someone. Unfortunately, bad things sometimes happen to good people, but sometimes it's that one good person that is strong enough to push through it to help anchor other people in getting through it. And I'm trying to be that anchor.